Hello, hope you're having fun so far. And in the previous video, I gave you a challenge that you have to build something like this. Three colors, orange, pink, purple, and as soon as I move my cursor outside them, they disappear with an kind of an inverted flip. So this challenge is kind of more in terms of, I would say, 50% in terms of the library that we are learning and 50% in terms of CSS as well. So you're going to utilize some knowledge of CSS as well. So this wasn't a very difficult challenge if you know CSS in a good way, because we have already discussed how can we do things like this on mouse enter and on mouse leave in the previous one. So come on, let's build this one. It's going to be super fun. Let me open this side by side and let's go. Let me open it here. Cool. So I have the thing open and let me close the other window. That's not really useful now. And yeah, okay, I closed all the other processes that were running just so that I can have a faster recording. My system is kind of slow these days. But anyhow, let's not get into the small talks. I have this bad habit of getting into small talks. Anyways, let's get back. Let's jump back. So where were we? Okay, in the last, cool. So in the last video, we created a use transition file. Okay, my system is so slow these days. I don't know what's happening. Cool. It's faster now. Okay. So yeah, just to recap, in the last video we created a use transition functional component, just to learn the use transition hook from React Spring. So again, very similar to use Spring Hook, use transition is also kind of easy to learn. It has two basic things, spring values and the transition animated element. The only difference here is that here we operate on a set of array, and we can control how the elements in that array enter and how they leave. And entering is associated to mounting on the screen, and leaving is associated with unmounting or removing the element. So you'll have to actually remove the element to make sure that this leave thing actually works. Cool. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a different component itself. I'm going to let this use transition be here as it is, and I'm going to create you can say fun with colors, I guess. Fun with colors. That sounds good. And yeah, so we no longer need data, but I'll let it be here. I'll create a new array called colors where I'm going to have red, green, blue. No, orange. Orange is better. Okay, orange and pink and purple. Purple. Perfect. Okay, now we have this. So what are we going to do here? We don't really need this specific transition here. We are going to set a very different kind of style. What are we going to set here is we can let it be or comment it out whatever you want. But for now, I'm going to define a new transition set. Let's call it transition 2. That seems fine. And I'm going to use transitions hook again, and inside the use transitions, this time our data is going to be colors, yes, colors. And as I already told you in the previous video, the first argument to the use transition hook is an array which we want to make a part of our transition or animation. And the second element is either a function or directly an object, a function that returns an object or directly an object. Both of the things work. Since we don't really need any kind of variables and stuff here, so we are not creating the function, we are directly returning the object. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to set, so now here's where your CSS knowledge is going to come into the picture. I'm going to set opacity as 0 once again in the starting point. So this from is kind of the starting point. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put another property called transform, and I'm going to transform it into I'm going to have a perspective of 600 pixels, and I'm going to rotate it along x-axis in 180 degrees. So the middle would be x-axis and it will rotate like this. So let's quickly type it out of 600 pixels and rotate x of 180 degrees. That should be fine. And I am just going to copy and paste it 2 times. I'm going to change one of them as enter and one of them as leave. And in the enter, I'm going to put the opacity as 1. And in the leave, I'm going to put the rotate x as 0 degrees because I want it to be stable at 0 degrees along the x-axis. And the next one, we can let it be. And I'm also going to set the time. This time, let's set the duration as, how about 1500 milliseconds? That sounds a little bit better. And that's it. That's pretty much it. You already have everything else here. Transitions 2, instead of transitions, I am going to put this as transitions 2. That's it. And we need to do a few more things actually. So if we let it be right like this, let's refresh and see what's happened. Okay, so it's still pointing to the use transition. What I'm going to do is fun with colors. I am going to comment out this use transition and I'm going to import my fun with, okay, I just noticed that I actually copy and paste the component. So I still need to change the name. So let's change the name to fun with colors and in the default export as well, fun with colors. I don't know if my screen is too small for you or is it fine. Um, Let me try to zoom in a little bit. This would become too big, I think. I think this much is fine. Uh, so since I'm not doing this as a live video and this is actually a recording, so I don't really know if this is too small or if this is fine. Do let me know in comments. At least from the next project, from the next videos that I release, I will zoom in if you feel that this is small. If you feel it's okay, do comment out it's okay. That's how I'll know. Okay, let me jump back and let me refresh the page. Okay, so I still need to import it here. So I'm going to import my fun with colors from /fun/fun with colors. Perfect. And I'm going to add it here. Fun with colors. That's it. It's almost perfect. Now, if you see here, it is almost like we saw. Let me open the finalized app in the 3000 host. So if you see here, it's almost like that. Our animations are already in place, but two things are missing. The first thing is these styles. It's different somehow. And second thing that is missing is our mouse hover and mouse leave. So adding mouse hover and mouse leave is a very, very quick thing. It's a very easy thing because you already know how to do it. Please don't tell me you don't know because we already did that in use Spring. If you remember, we added some functions, handle how mouse leave, handle mouse enter, and all these things. Doing this in transitions is actually even more simpler. It's very, very easy. The only thing that we need to do here is we actually need to set the colors as, so we already have a leave state. In uSpring, we actually had to do some. Actually, you can take it as another challenge. You can replace this, the thing that we made in the uSpring, you can replace it with some, let's say, use transition, because that's a perfect example of transition. We are trying to make it enter, and then we are trying to make it leave as well. If you see here, it's entering from 0, and it's going back to 0 on mouse leave. So that's a perfect example of actually how transitions should work. So this can be done with transition as well. But since we did it using Spring, we had to actually use the API and had to have some controlled animations. But doing this in using use transition hook will be actually much more simpler than you think it is. So just remember what I told you in the beginning of this video. So in the beginning of this video, I told you that enter will always work as soon as the thing, these data is mounted on the screen. You know the meaning of mounted, right? And leave will work when these things are removed from the screen. So how do I remove it? It's a very simple question. It's a React question. Now you tell me, how do I remove these things? Just remember the controlled components, the controlled forms, and all those things, whenever we have to change any value, that's right, you got it right. We have to set the values in state. That's it. So that's all we need to do here now. So I'm going to create a new state called colors, and I'm going to uh, set colors, and let's actually import use state, right? And so that we don't have to do react.use state. So the initial value of colors will be this colors array. So as soon as we enter the page, it should show, these colors values should show. Now what is going to happen? Let's figure out what's going to happen when we remove our mouse. Let's figure out that first. So as soon as we remove our mouse, we need to have some sort of a, let's say, a handler, an animation handler. How do we do it? Very simple. Let's put it inside of our I would say, okay, one thing that I want to add here actually is, so if you see, if we actually remove all these things, that's what I'm thinking out loud, right? So I'm doing it in real time along with you. So I'm just thinking out loud. Right now, it would work. Okay, let me do it here itself. So just so that you notice, but here's one problem in the thing that I actually was trying to do. And we'll figure it out and we'll try to fix this on mouse leave. Let's figure out on mouse leave first. And I'm going to create a function const handle mouse leave, and we are going to handle it like this. I'm going to set colors as an empty array. So this is the simple basic knowledge, right? So whenever we have to remove anything, any data, or unmount any component or anything, we just remove it from the state. So as soon as we remove it from the state, this gets refreshed. Now the new use transition hook will be applied on an empty array, and this will not get any item thing. And but before it runs, it will have to remove the previous items. And in that case, it will actually run the styles that we have defined on the leave property. That's it. So I'm going to provide a handle mouse leave function. Perfect. So let me remove the mouse from here, and nothing really happened. So that's what I was actually telling you. That's exactly what I wanted to discuss. So how can we prevent all these things from happening? And even if you think about it logically, even if we try to, let's say if even if this was actually removed, and even if this was, let's say, removed from the screen, and we had to make it mount on the screen once again when we hover our mouse on top of it. How would that work? Because there's no element to hover our mouse over. So how would that mouse on mouse enter work? It will not work, right? So that's what I was trying to say at the beginning. Let's do one thing. Let's wrap this whole component inside, let's say, a container. I'm going to call it a color or colors, whatever you want, colors container. And I'm going to put the whole thing inside it. Perfect. And now I'm going to set the mouse, the synthetic event handler on this div instead of this animated div. And now it should work. And it is still not working. Why is it still not working? Let's debug it. Things happen sometimes, you see. And that's why I'm not going to edit this part as well. I'm pretty sure. Why will I not edit this part? Because I actually want you to know how do we debug things as well. Very cool. So now if you see what has happened here is, why is it not working is because we actually provided colors, the data, the constant value. So even though we are clearing out the state, we are never using that state. We need to use that state here. That was a silly mistake. And these things, trust me, these things happen. These things happen with even the most senior, most engineers out there. These are some small mistakes which which happens. And the the biggest thing about being an engineer is not making mistakes. It's about how quickly can you find your own mistakes in your own code. So that's how I kind of debug, right? I just try to backtrack into the what could be the root cause, and you see, I was easily able to figure out that colors, we were using the default value of the colors instead of the state colors. We need to use the state. I hope you're aware what's the React state. And let's refresh it. It should 100% work now. You see, it's working. And now let me prove my point. If we had something like this here, on mouse enter equal to, let's say, handle mouse enter, the same thing, right? We have to do the exact same thing for mouse enter as well. And instead of empty array, now we need to put it as the default colors array on mouse enter, right? Handle mouse enter and handle mouse leave. What we did just now, it was quick. I know it was quick. Let me explain it to you in simple words. What we did is exactly similar to on mouse leave. I added an on mouse, not down, on mouse enter. So on mouse enter, we need to tell it that, okay, set set the colors, set the state, the data back to the default colors array, and that's it. But if you see, nothing is going to happen, right? Once it's gone, it's gone. Now, because there is no more element that you can hover on to. I hope you got my point, right? That is why I cut this thing out and I actually pasted it here. So I hope you got the point now. Now it will work because there is actually a div present here. And okay, we need to do one more thing actually. We need to set some default width or default height to this div as well. Because again, now given that this div has disappeared from the screen, um, even this div is present. If you see, this div will be definitely there. Let me go to the elements and let's go at the top. Let's move it down a little bit and let's go to body, and inside root we're going to have this play fun with colors. You see, colors container is actually there, but the thing is it has a height of 0. Now you can definitely not hover on anything which has a height of 0. So we definitely need to set something which has some default height as well, some sort of a min height or something. So now I'm going to create a CSS file. Now comes the second part where we are going to handle these things, this orange color and styling. It's going to be very, very quick. So let's jump back to our file. I'm going to call it, let's say, fun with colors.css. As simple as that. And first thing I would like to do here is, it's if you see here, it's stick to the left. I don't really like that. I need some borders or some margin. Uh, so let's see what's the outermost container called. It's called play. So I'm going to have some margin left. 20 pixels would be fine, I guess. Yes, 20 pixels seems fine. And I'm going to put a color field. No, color container, sorry. Yes, color container. And I'm going to provide it a min height of, let's say, 50 pixels or something. It should be fine. Let's refresh it. And it did not work. Why? Because we did not import it. A lot of things won't work in when you're programming, but you should be able to figure out why they are not working and then fix those things. Now that we have imported it, it should start working ideally. Let's see. So we moved our thing out, and if you see, colors container is there. As soon as I move my cursor here, it starts working. It starts working. See, this is so perfect, right? Now the only thing that is remaining is our colors and the styles. How do we provide those colors and those styles? Very, very simple. Once again, very simple. So I'm just going to do one thing. I'm just going to provide it a class name, our animated div. If you see here, we have a div. Okay, let's quickly try to open it. Yeah. So if you see here, inside our color container div, this thing, we have 3 different divs which just have a text. So now what are we going to do here is I'm going to make sure we are able to apply some stylings to these items. So if you're aware, these items are nothing but the elements of this array, orange, pink, and purple. What I'm going to do is I'm going to apply a class name to this. So the class name can be, let's say, color, and I'm going to also provide the name of the item as well in the class name. Just a second, this GitHub Copilot is messing things up. Okay, anyhow, so what I did here is I provided a class name of color so that I can provide some default values, let's say font height, font weight, line height, and all those things, font size and all those stuff. And what I'm going to do here, I also added a item as a class name. What is this item? You will see item is nothing but our colors, right? This is our item. As I told you, this transitions function is doing nothing but looping over each individual items along with the styles that we have defined. Listen it more carefully. Listen once again. The transitions function is doing nothing but iterating over each and every array element that we provide. Well, when we set the use transition hook, and it iterates over each element along with the styles we define here. That's it. That's the most simplest thing, right? So I'm providing, just to make sure I'm able to differentiate between orange, pink, and purple, I'm actually providing their names directly as well. Of course, this is not a good idea if you're getting this value dynamically from some API or something, but right now it's a constant for us and it's just for learning this React Spring library. So for now, it is fine. So I'm going to define some CSS values for my colors. I'm going to provide a font size of, let's say, a bigger one, very big, 4 EM or something. Font weight of, let's say, 800, which is bold. I'm also going to provide a text transform to uppercase. It's actually not required though because it's already in uppercase. So let's leave it. I'm going to provide it a line height of, let's say, 80 pixels. That's it, I guess. That's it. We don't really need anything else. And what I'm going to do is now I'm going to provide individual styles. I'm going to set orange color as I'm going to give it not directly orange, but some pretty orange color, like which I feel is pretty, because I I find all my colors from this. I forgot the name of the website. I just search for color palette on Google, and I think this is the Color Hunt. Yes, this is the website from where I actually find my color combinations. It's a very good website, very beautiful. So I find all these beautiful color combinations here. So I'm going to provide this one as well from there. FF, B8, and 4C. This looks beautiful. Then on pink, I'm going to provide a color of F2 and then 66 and AB. That should be good. And on purple, I'm going to provide a color, okay, color of let's say A4, 59, and D1. That's it. Cool. And this should work perfectly now. So we have our challenge ready. So I think line height, um, I don't know, 880 pixels is coming out really big. Color, but that is fine actually. Is it? Yeah, it's actually coming out very big. So let's keep it to, let's say, 60 pixels. Now let's see. Okay, is it not loading my okay, it loaded. Finally it's here. So this is looking more pretty. This looks perfect. So that was it. That was your challenge, answer to solution to your challenge. And now I'm going to give you one more challenge actually. Your next challenge is going to be do this. Let me refresh the page. One by one, automatically, nothing happens on mouse hover or mouse enter or mouse leave. One by one, the colors appear and they go. Can you build this? Let me know. So this is it for this video. See you in the next one. Bye bye.